Hey everyone, welcome to part 10 of my Server 2025 training series. Today we're going to be discussing Active Directory sites and services. You may be wondering, what is AD sites and services? Really, all it is a management tool that allows for maximum network efficiency between your domain sites, and it also ensures that any clients that attempt to authenticate to your domain pick the closest domain controller to them. So again, the primary reason is that this even exists is for maximum network efficiency between your sites and your clients that are accessing your domain. In our lab today, we're going to review the AD Sites and Services Management tool. We're going to set up our two Active Directory sites for our two domain controllers. So we have Home Office 1, where our original domain controller lives, so DC1. We have Home Office 2, where our second DC lives. So we're going to assign the appropriate subnet to each site, and we're also going to review our site links. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, over in our lab, let's go ahead and open up our RSAT tools. We're going to open Active Directory sites and services. We're not going to pin this one to the taskbar just because we're probably never going to open it for the remainder of the course. So once it's up, we're going to check out our sites. And we see by default, we have default first site name. We're going to rename this to Home Office 1. There's not a ton that you need to know inside of Active Directory sites and services. Of course, you have your sites list, you have your inter-site transports, which are essentially just your replication link telling the DCs where and how they should replicate. The SMTP, that's a very old way of replicating, and you don't ever see that used nowadays. But we see our Home Office 1 here. But what we're going to do is we're going to create a new site, and we're going to say Home Office 2. We're going to assign it to our default link name. And it's going to give us a little bit of guidelines. It's just telling us to make sure that we're linked to other site with the appropriate site links. And it also tells us to add our subnets, install domain controllers, etc. So we're just going to click OK. But next, we're going to go ahead and add our subnets. So right click, new subnet. We're going to add our first range, the 99.0/24. This is going to be Home Office 1. We're going to add our secondary subnet, 106.0/24. We're going to assign to Home Office 2. All right, so we have our subnets assigned, so these sites are going to know which subnet is tied to which site. But now, one final thing we have to do is, by default, because this is our default link, or our default site rather, we have both of our servers tied to it. We're going to have to take GTDC2, and we're going to move it. And we're just going to move it to Home Office 2. And that's pretty much it. So we have our servers in each of their collective sites. They know which subnets are tied to which. So it's pretty much set up for maximum network efficiency. Granted, in our lab, we are running on the same exact hypervisor. So this is more of a conceptual how it should be if, in theory, this were a separate site, which is what we're pretending. But that's going to cover it. The only other thing to mention is the site link settings here. You can check the properties, and it tells you it replicates every 180 minutes. There's a cost associated with the link, which the default is 100. You can modify that between sites if you ever need, replication efficiency for a particular site. But for our case, this is essentially all we need to cover. But I hope this has been informative, and I'd like to thank you for watching. If you want to check out the next video, it's actually going to dive deep into Active Directory best practices, and it may be a couple of parts, but I'm very excited to work on that one. But thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.